History has been useful for us to understand the past and make better decisions for the future. Ancient empires, revolutions, wars, and so many other things have shaped society into what it is today. But not everything in history has a clear explanation. In fact, there are quite a lot of events that just make us more confused as to what really happened in the past. Today, I'll be introducing you to 10 of the most mysterious events in history. We'll have a look at some moments in time that are a bit hard to explain, but they actually happened. Or at least that's what we believe. Creepy characters, supernatural encounters, and all sorts of crazy events are coming up. Are you ready for it? Either way, you don't have a choice. With all that said and done, let's begin, shall we? Number 10. Oak Island. Captain William Kidd, a Scottish sailor who lived from 1645 to 1701, was tried for piracy after he got back from a trip around the Indian Ocean. While some historians don't agree with people calling him a pirate, Captain Kidd did some pretty questionable things that led people to give him that title. It is also said that he left a money pit as a buried treasure in Oak Island just off the shores of Nova Scotia in Canada. For hundreds of years, numerous expeditions have gone to this spot, trying to find said treasure without any success. And the expeditions haven't been cheap. These things cost millions of dollars, but apparently that doesn't stop people from searching this place. Honestly, I would just hope the treasure could one day make up for all the money they spent in trying to find it. But as of now, no one has been successful. There's even a History Channel show called The Curse of Oak Island that follows a modern-day group of explorers who seek answers to this mysterious treasure. The show's actually already on its 7th season, and so far they found an antique brooch with a 500-year-old gemstone, some very old coins, and a lead cross that apparently was made between 1200 and 1600 AD. There are still no signs of other religious artifacts, manuscripts, or Marie Antoinette's jewels, which according to some theories are part of the biggest treasure. Number 9. The Hanging Gardens. Have you heard of the 7 Wonders of the Ancient World? It's kind of like an old school version of a top 5 best list, except that it doesn't list 5 wonders. It actually lists only 7. Then again, we are called top 5 best, but we only really do top 10 lists. Who am I to complain? We rarely list 5 things. It's either 10 or more and you're gonna love it. Anyway, back to the 7 wonders. If you haven't looked into that list, you really should. But we have more than enough evidence to support that these wonders were once the most remarkable constructions of their time. Except for one, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. While there is an established location for the other 6 wonders, the Hanging Gardens don't have one yet. Some people say it used to be near to what is now a city named Hilla in central Iraq. Other researchers claim that the gardens were in the city of Nineveh. Either way, no one has been able to find any remains of the garden to confirm its existence. But how do we know about it then? Well, we have some ancient writings that say this was one of the most beautiful places in the world, with plants growing at impressive heights. It was built by a king to please his wife, who missed her homeland in the mountains. Oh, that's romantic, ain't it? Well, unfortunately, the current-day coordinates of this place have been the scenario of tons of wars and looting. It's the thought that counts, I suppose. Either way, I doubt we'll ever get a chance to find out anything that can tell us more about the existence of this amazing place. Number 8. Atlantis. Just like the Hanging Gardens, the existence of Atlantis can only be confirmed by writings. However, when it comes to Atlantis, the place sounds a bit more fictional than the gardens. The first mention of the now vanished land was in a story by the Greek philosopher Plato. He talked about a land in the Atlantic Ocean and its people who conquered parts of Europe and Africa in prehistoric times. But then the prehistoric Athenians fought back, and eventually the people of Atlantis, as well as their land, vanished under the ocean. Now, this story is most likely untrue, but there's really nothing here that can fully discredit it. There is evidence of ancient civilizations that somehow fit the things that Plato described, but none of them is fully accurate. The closest one is the story of the Minoan civilization. But as opposed to Atlantis, the Minoans settled on the island of Crete, which is in the Mediterranean Sea, not in the Atlantic Ocean. Number 7. The Dancing Plague. I'm sure you are all familiar with the concept of a global pandemic by now. But whatever we know about plagues and diseases can't be as crazy as what I'm about to tell you. In 1518, a dancing plague took over some parts of Europe. It all started with a woman named Mrs. Trophea who started dancing uncontrollably in the middle of Strasbourg, France. She was later joined by 34 people and later by 400 more. It was a little dance pandemic. However, this event is not as fun as it sounds. The constant dancing eventually made people experience exhaustion, heart attacks, and even strokes, and there was nothing they could do to stop dancing. Some claim that it manifested from the supernatural realm, but doctors believed it had a scientific explanation. Rather than finding a cure, they decided that it was best for the people to dance their disease out. Even though at some point about 15 people were dying per day. Science. Finally, the plague came to an end, but even today's science can't fully explain what went on during this dance pandemic. What they know is that even the most disciplined modern-day marathonists wouldn't be able to stand this type of group workout. Number 6. The Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is a very important golden artifact to the Jewish people and Christians. Inside of it were the 10 Commandment tablets that God directly dictated to Moses. The Ark was inside the first temple in which Jewish people worshiped God before a Babylonian army conquered their city in the year of 587 BC. Today, the whereabouts of the Ark is unknown. Ancient stories claim that the Ark was hidden prior to the Babylonian invasion, but other sources say that it is quite possible that the Ark was destroyed during the sacking of the city. As of today, there are tons of theories going around and no one has a clear conclusion yet. There are people who claim that the Ark is now in Ethiopia, but other people believe that it's been hidden by divine forces, and it will not appear until the end of times. Number 5. JFK. The death of John F. Kennedy is perhaps the most mysterious event in US history, and the question is not who, but why. I mean, we know he was shot by a man named Lee Harvey Oswald, but no one could figure out his motives. We could just ask oh wait, no, never mind, we can't ask Oswald because the guy was shot by a nightclub owner before he could stand trial. There are tons of conspiracy theories regarding the reasons for JFK's death. Some of them say that the US government was involved, while others blame it on the mafia. There are also some people who point fingers at Fidel Castro and others who blame anti-Castro groups. And then there's the CIA, Russia, fascist groups, aliens, etc, etc, etc. One thing is for sure though, we're far from reaching a consensus. Both experienced historians and fanatics of conspiracy theories can't come to a solid explanation of this terrible and mysterious event. Number 4. Cleopatra's tomb. We know that Cleopatra existed, but we don't know where her tomb is. She was one of the most famous women in history and one of the most famous rulers of ancient Egypt. But up until today, no one really knows where she was buried. Apparently, she's buried next to her lover Antony's tomb, but his tomb location is also unknown. They both ended their lives after their political rival Octavian invaded Egypt. First, it was Antony who thought Cleopatra had ended her life upon their defeat. But she wasn't dead, she was hiding. But it was too late when Antony found out the truth. When Cleopatra realized that she was going to live a miserable life under the Romans, she decided to end her life as well. Honestly, that's pretty tragic, but that is infinitely a better story than Romeo and Juliet. Yes, it is quite romantic, and that's why it's safe to assume that both of these famous figures of history are buried together somewhere near Alexandria, Egypt. Number 3. The Inuit Village. Inuit are one of the indigenous groups that inhabit the northernmost part of the American continent. They settled in places like Alaska, Canada, and Greenland. In 1930, a newsman reported that the people of an Inuit village had completely disappeared. They lived near the Yangikuni Lake in Canada, and they were known for their welcoming attitude towards fur trappers. But out of a sudden, they were just gone. The first person to notice it was one of the fur trappers that the village had welcomed for so long. There was food hanging over fire pits and unfinished shirts with needles in them, which were indicators that the people in the village had disappeared in the middle of their daily activities. But 7 sled dogs were also found. However, they had also died of starvation, and they were inside what looked like a man-made graveyard. Man, that was a roller coaster from start to end. A search party did go around looking for people, but no one was found. Now it's time for the day's best pick. There's a lot of mystery in the past, but the events that are harder to believe and understand are those that involve contact with aliens. There are many people who claim to have seen UFOs like the one I'm showing you in this picture. And some people even go as far as saying that they had contact with creatures from outer space. Could that really be true? Well, let's find out with number 2. Alien abduction. It all started on October 11th in 1973. It was the perfect evening for Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker to go fishing in Pascagoula, Mississippi. But things got weird as soon as they started hearing buzzing sounds and seeing flashing blue lights coming from an oval-shaped object above them. According to their story, they were abducted by creatures from outer space. Charles and Calvin were paralyzed but conscious while the creatures examined them before returning them back to their home. Did anyone believe their story? Well, Pascagoula went from being an unknown part of the US to becoming one of the hottest spots for international news. Hickson even did talk shows, lectures, interviews, and wrote a book about his experience. In fact, he had more encounters the following year in which the aliens told him that they were peaceful. It is hard to believe this when there's not a lot of solid evidence to confirm what happened to these guys. However, UFO sightings and other alien-related stories from around the world just make this story a bit more believable. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. The Mystery of MV JOYITA. MV JOYITA was a merchant vessel that was built in a way that made it almost impossible for it to sink. But who are we kidding? There's always a chance that something might go wrong at some point, am I right? However, something odd happened to JOYITA. In 1955, the vessel disappeared in the South Pacific. It was later found with a big portion of it out of the water, but no one had any idea of what happened to the 25 people who were on board. I mean, why didn't they stay near the boat since it hadn't completely sunk anyway? And even if they left the boat, where would they go? As of today, no one knows where these people went. The 25 of them are considered missing, and even though there are quite a few theories of the disappearance, no one has reached a full conclusion as of yet. We'd have to find one of those 25 people to get a clearer answer. In the meantime, this is just another mystery for the books. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any theories about any of these mysteries? Or maybe you know about other mysteries that we didn't cover today? Let us know in the comment section down below. With all that said and done, that's our video for today, folks, and I will see you all next time. Later, everybody.